Hey tubers and tubettes, this is Dave Dixon up in Northern California, and I was going to do a video on something that I've never told anybody. It has to do with swimming pools, and I've never said this story. It's embarrassing, and I didn't even tell my wife, which I tell my wife just about everything because it kind of makes me look like a stupid. But I'm going to tell you guys. So this is the great thing about YouTube. It's like therapy for me. So I had a customer that I called up. He was like a Middle Eastern guy, I could tell over the phone. And he was very interested in getting an estimate. But our timing was just like a little off. So I had a couple of appointments on one day. And this was about 2 years ago. It was summertime, so I remember it was nice and warm. And he wanted me to get there earlier before the sun went down and go ahead and measure my backyard. He said, oh, the gate's open, go on back there. I don't have a dog or anything, so it's not a problem. And there's always a reason that I don't do that. I cannot remember the reason, but there's always a reason that I should say, no, I'm not going to do that. Go in your backyard when, nobody's there, but at the time I said, oh, okay. All right. Well, I could go back there and at least get the measurements done and get started on the drawing. So when you show up, we'll be able to get started. Man, this is hard to say. This is hard to tell you because it was crazy. So anyway, I get over to the house, and it's a brand new house. I went through the gate. It was wide open. It was unlocked. So I went in the back. And I start measuring. I'm starting to measure the backyard. I put my drawing paper, on top of a barbecue that was there. And it's a brand new home, so there was nothing in the backyard other than the covered patio. So as I'm drawing, I suddenly notice there's a helicopter. I go, oh, that's pretty cool. There's a helicopter, and it was flying, in the general area. And I was like, I just continued to measure and everything else. So then I started to notice, hey, the guy had told me he's not going to be at home, so just go ahead and go into his backyard. So I started to notice that it looks like that helicopter is flying right over this neighborhood. I mean, really, almost right over this backyard. And it was doing like the little loop flying around, and I'm out there measuring the backyard. And all of a sudden I hear this megaphone saying, walk out to the front yard. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. So I thought, well, are they talking to me? Or are they talking to somebody that's, trying to hide in this neighborhood? So I grabbed my stuff and I walked out to the front yard. And there's two police officers with their guns drawn at me. And they're like, put your stuff down. So I put it down. And they go, who are you? I go, well, I'm Dave. I'm a pool designer. I'm measuring the backyard. The customer gave me permission to go back there. And apparently what had happened was I was in the wrong backyard. I was in the yard of the person that was supposed to be my second appointment. I've been talking to the guy for the first appointment, and then the second appointment, they're in the same neighborhood. All the houses look the same. So I was actually in the house of a brand new home, and it was my second appointment. I mean, oh my God, so they really didn't, get any ID or anything from me. They were just all out there with their cars and their guns drawn and everything else. And I said, well, can I go? Yeah, go ahead and go. And then the people, they're a Mexican couple, they were out in the front and they were all upset, and I was like, wow, where are they from? I mean, they must be from the Bay Area or something to call somebody, because it's a new home. There could definitely be somebody in your backyard, from the construction company or landscapers or whatever. And normally you would think you just open the door and say, hey, who are you? But nope, they called the police and they got the helicopter out there. I don't know if it was an overreaction of the police or what, or maybe there's problems in that area. But it was, pretty nice subdivision and everything. So in my mind, I have this way that when I have a problem like that, I kind of like suppress it, and then I change it in my mind so that it's almost like it was a movie. It didn't really happen. And I even had myself convinced, oh no, that never really happened. And so that makes it so that I can function and, go on with my life. I did tell the next person that I went to, and then I thought to myself later, that's why I don't go in people's backyards without them being there. I have done it, and it's actually been successful numerous times, but that was the craziest reaction I ever seen to somebody being in your backyard. I wasn't trying to break in. I was measuring your fences and measuring everything in the back. But to be that scared, that they felt they needed to call the cops, and the cops to be that not busy to bring out a helicopter, maybe they were already flying around, and circle the backyard with this older guy out there with his swan pool hat and my swan pool jacket. It was just kind of bizarre, the whole thing. So that actually reminds me of another story. When I was building pools, I was in Stockton, and I had a worker with me. He happened to be a black guy, and I had my 1970 green Charger back then. It was a really beautiful car, and I just happened to be building a pool in East Stockton, which we call Okieville, and because there's a lot of Okies there. And so I was building a pool over there, and then I had to go over there and do something like repressurize the water line because the inspector was coming out or something like that. So I went over there, repressurized it, and the guy that was with me, I don't even remember his name. He was just working for me for just a few days. But anyway, we got back in the car. We started to take off. We're driving down the road. All of a sudden, a cop goes in front of us and blocks my car. Another cop comes behind me, and another one comes right to my side. There was like no way I could move. And so they started talking on their phones or on their megaphone, and they're like, get out of the car. Coach, yeah, hell yeah, I'm getting out of the car. I don't want to be shot. So I got out of the car. Lay on your face on the ground, face down. And so we're laying on our faces, both of us, laying in the street. And so then the guy comes up to me and he goes, are you Jim Dixon or something like that? I go, no, I'm Dave Dixon. And they go, what were you doing at that house? I go, I'm a pool builder. I was building a pool, and I had to go pressurize the line. They go, oh, get up, please get up. And they were already talking to the guy that was working for me. He had come to me from an agency. He was actually just working for me for a couple of days. I didn't really know too much about him. But apparently he had a warrant against him, so they had to take him, and I never saw him again. And, he never called me back, or, I had no idea what happened. I know he had a warrant against him, so they took him in. And there was a guy named, Dixon, same last name, but different spelling. And he was selling tools. He was stealing tools and selling tools. And so when they saw me in this car and they checked the registration, it looked similar, the last name sounded similar, and here I am walking back and forth into the house or into the backyard with tools. It looked maybe like I was selling tools. And they're very apologetic, we're sorry, made a mistake or blah, blah, blah. And I go, no. I can understand. It didn't bother me at all. I mean, it got my heart pumping. But those are just two crazy incidences that I've had with the police. But I can imagine there's so many miscommunication things and that goes on with them. I really appreciate the work that they do. And in fact, I have an appointment with a guy next Monday. He's a police officer from Stockton. So I always tell him, thank you for your service. I mean, I really appreciate what you do, keeping the bad guys out of our neighborhood and stuff. I really do. I mean, what they do is just unbelievable. The people that they have to deal with, and then even like some of the public, the way that they treat them. I know we had an incident with my neighbor. He's right across the street over there, and he was second in command in our little town in Lodi. And there was a pit bull that had been running around and it was actually biting people in a local park. So the police officers under him, they got the go-ahead to shoot the dog, and so they couldn't catch it, and it was actually biting people. And so they ended up shooting the dog, and that story went kind of viral. And so he was second in command. He had to take care of all of these interviews and people talking to him and interviewing him over the phone and stuff. And that was the beginning of his retirement. He retired right after that because he said it was so ridiculous. People didn't care about the kids that were being bit. They were more concerned about the dog that had to be shot, put down, because it was just so aggressive. And I mean, that's what they deal with. You know, it could be a thankless job. So I always make sure, like I saw two motorcycle cops over by the gas station. I roll up to them, I roll my window down, and they're looking at me like, what the hell is this guy doing? And I just say, hey, I just want to thank you guys for your service. Really appreciate what you guys are doing out there. And they're like, thank you. Really appreciate that, you know, because they just don't get enough of that. I mean, they're human. I'm sure there's mistakes that are made, just like they were on the Two Things for Me. But, you know, you got to support the police. You know, they are out there, and it makes it so that we don't have to be out there. So anyway, that was my thoughts. That was my secret thing that I never told anybody, but now you guys know. Thank you so much for finding me, and I hope you subscribe so we can stay together, and look forward to talking to you in the future. Thank you much, and have a great day.